You're listening to 101 with Tommie Zam. On the 23rd episode, we sit down with Ron Allen talking about skateboarding, music, and life. Let's do this. Hey, what's up, Ron? How you doing?
Liz, Tommy, how you doing?
Ah, man, just finally it's nice and warm here, so I'm pretty stoked on that.
Yeah, Florida, man. I'm telling you, the other side.
Yes, it is the other side.
The other side is always warm and beautiful. From
Yes,
west
it
until
is.
south. You
And the
know,
water's nice and the sand's great and it's cool, but I mean there's not that much here to do, you know?
there's enough if you skate and surf.
That is
You guys,
true. That is true.
dude, I'd be loving that beach, man. Beach, swear. See, you
There-
get older, you gotta move to warmer climates. So it don't hurt as much in the morning and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I definitely know, man. That's all I stay. I stay mostly in warm climates. I don't go anything farther, you know, like I either go California, Florida, and that's it. I don't go north.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year I was in a last year, but right before COVID, I was up in Pennsylvania, finishing up a music tour. It was really cold. It was really like, whenever I try to be cold here on the West Coast, I would think about that. Okay, it's not that cold. If it's like, sometimes here on the West Coast, you'll get like a 45 night. You'll be like, wow, that's really cold. And then you got to stop and you go, minus 17 or minus 23. Yeah, that's really cold. And then you go, yeah, it's cold, but it's not that cold. You know, comparisons. Keep
No, no,
yourself outside.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, definitely the cold. I mean, I felt the cold here. I mean, I was like, because like you said, being out there, 45 to us, it's like, wow, it's freezing, But then
Yeah,
here it's like drop down to 30. I wake up and there's ice on my car, and I'm just like, dude, what the hell? It's cold as shit. I'm not going skating, dude. I'm not going outside.
that's crazy cold. See, yeah, Floridian. What do you guys? I mean, you guys, that's sweatshirt weather. Like, put out the bubble jackets. Let's go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the reason you
Well,
wear a bubble jacket in Florida. Like, it's 32. I'm bubbled up. What's up? You know?
yeah. Well, I'm in North Florida, so I'm up in Pensacola. So I'm on the border of Alabama and Florida. So it gets way more colder than down south, like down in like,
Oh yeah. Damn. That's beautiful there, man.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It gets
really
cold up
beautiful.
here.
Wow.
Yeah, because I know, like I said, like there's times I woke up in the mornings and be ice on my car, like literally ice. I'm like, dude, what the? And as I look at my phone, it's like 25 degrees. I'm like, hell no, dude. I am not going back
Ooh.
outside.
Yeah, that's a get a start. Get a fire going. Yeah. I don't even have a fireplace. You'd be like, okay, no fire, okay, no fireplace. But it's something warm. Turn on the oven. Let's go. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So what you been up
Yeah,
to, man? Tell me what you've been up to. What you been
it's
doing?
like COVID made you shut down, like so you couldn't go out. And I was like on this kind of crusade to keep going out, making music, trying to do the best I can, and had such really good contacts and playing some really cool shows, and had hooked up with Chuck Treese on some touring, and just really having a good time. And um, then reality struck, you know,
Hmm.
and that reality was like, holy shit, like we're not going out anymore, and what are you going to do about your next music project? And
Yeah.
what else is next? Like there were so many different things that were like sort of bubbling, and then now all those things are sort of shut down. And so the first thing I started to do was just kind of record different things to see if I could like do something at home. And then like I have a friend Moose who has a studio that's like come by the studio, and I've yet to finish really doing that because I want to come through there with something actually solid to work on. But yeah, it put a whole damper on things, but in a way, it started other creative lines. Like I started writing a book, and just gave you an opportunity to skateboard, which is crazy. Which to me,
Hmm.
that's been the whole like. I was skating so much that like you get the old skate injuries back. You're like, wow, like oh god, I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah, I did hurt my. Oh yeah, I kind of hurt my knee. That's why I was kind of chilling on skating for a while. Oh, I re-injured that. Okay, cool. Yeah, like it's funny how that is, but it's like been really fun. Like I've been having a good time with like sort of like a lot of skaters aren't really into wearing masks. I fully understand the whole rebel thing about skating, so it's no way I'm trying to tell somebody to do it. But skate park that I go to, they kind of make you wear a mask. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like for me, I just go there during this period of time. See, I'm an older black man, and I guess this affects those types. So I'm not trying to be sick and go out. I ain't going out like that. I ain't going out like that. Like Cypress Hill was saying, I ain't going out. Like, it's crazy. Like, you can be resistant to anything. You can be resistant to science rules, whatever you want to be. But like, if they're telling you something like affects your age, and you're like, oh no, I'm just gonna be, man. When you figure it out, a lot of those older dudes that were anti-COVID and all that stuff had to figure it out and come out and be like, I had to say that I was against it, and now I'm sick as fuck. Like, you don't want to be making those claims. You know what I mean? Just gotta keep it chill. You know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. No, it is crazy, man. Like, it did damper a lot of people last year, like musicians and, movies and stuff like that. Nobody could do anything at all. It's crazy, to think
Yeah,
that.
it was it's a lot of control of society and our position, putting us in a position that we really had to like self-evaluate type of things. That's a funny like to me. It's funny because it's sort of like wow, like a lot of skaters in the 80s are sort of like that, very isolated, and not a lot of people like them, so they spend a lot of time alone. So this time after them, like, well, back to my reality. Like, you know, skating when you skated in like the early 80s, like between like its like second boom and its second crash before like I turned pro in 87. So like in the 81, 80, 82, you were looked at as kind of like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, I love
Yeah.
this. And people are like, this man, or he's, and at that time, I think it's like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I wasn't young anymore. I was kind of getting to that age. People are looking at you like, you still doing that stuff, huh? You're like, I love this. That's a funny one to me, man. Like, and that's I have to be honest. The Thrasher came out and said that I was the first African American to turn pro during this period. So during COVID, I'm sitting at home reading about the fact that I'm the first African American to turn pro. And at first, it was kind of funny, like, haha. Then I thought about it. I was like, wait, that's really dope. No, because in a sense you're so hard on yourself. Like you're really hard to like. You never even thought about that. You're like, okay, I got to get this trick, and then in the pursuit of like trying to land more tricks and get video parts done and travel and all that. It's like someone says, "Oh, you're the first." I swear, it made me like stop. Okay,
Yeah.
wait a second. This is dope. like, like I could take a break for a second. Like I'm always on go. Like I can like chill for a second and just be like,
Yeah.
take it all in. Like, whoa. And it's not so much of a big deal, but it's more of like recognition of work. And I
Hmm.
think that's what, like, if anything, when anybody, I don't know if skaters in this day and age look at it like that, but I think as I've gotten older, it's always made me just go like, yeah, put in hell work, lay down a lot of path.
Yeah, you did,
you
dude.
know,
I mean, you did a lot
yeah.
for skateboarding, man.
But I think in a way you have so much, like it's like the 90s skater. You're so much on forward, get the nutrition, progress, progress, progress. That I remember like we were skating one time and we were in like England and we're skating some sort of ledge and then the thing went off and everyone stopped and looked and I was like, oh shit, Big Ben. And everyone's like, what? I'm like, Big Ben. That's like that's known for England and like people all over the world know that shit. And we were skating. Like we didn't there was just a good ledge there. You know what I mean? Like we were not sightseeing.
You're doing some slappies on the ledge, and all of a sudden you look up and like, oh shit, we're skating to Big Ben.
Yeah, like exactly. You're not looking. You're not like going, whoa, let's go to Big Ben, and then you go, oh shit, there's some like skate stuff. No, you're like, whoa, there's some skate stuff there. and you never look up, you know, and then you look up because it goes off, and you're like, holy shit, okay, yeah, I'm at a place that tourists go to. You're like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
There's a couple places like that where I've been like, even in America, where you're like somewhere, like I remember being somewhere and going, damn, dude, this is the University of blah blah blah. And it's like as at Notre Dame or skating it somewhere, and I'm like, wow, this is dope. And people are like, why is this so dope to you? And I'm like, you know, this is like Notre Dame or Penn State or something like that. And they're like significance, and I'm like, well, you know, like some significant sports people like walk the halls and shit, you know.
Hmm.
Like one time I was filming in Washington at Garfield High, and as we're skating and filming, some locals came and they were like, "Yeah, Jimi Hendrix went here." It's like, damn. So now, as a skater, I'm not trying to be a tourist, but oh, Jimi Hendrix went here. So I remember, like after I got my trick, I skated away and skated through the hallways, and it was like, "Whoa, Jimi Hendrix walked these hallways, man. This is dope." Like, you know, like total, like whoa. And that's a funny ass story too, because I remember I skated away from making my trick, and I skated down the hall, and then like there was like a 7 stair with a sidewalk, and then a 10 stair, and then the sidewalk took a right by the 10 stair. So it was like, and then there was a bank, and it kind of went down, and the 10 stair went down, and there's a bank, and there was a bank, and then it like and I was like, that's so dope. And I remember I rode the sidewalk between the 7 and 10, took the right, and sort of looked down the sidewalk and saw the bank at the end. Went, oh, dude, that'd be sick to ollie in. Take about 2 pushes, get in the air, and realize, oh, damn, at the end of that bank, there's like a wall and like a bench. There's no landing. There's actually not even a chance to land. Like you shouldn't have really actually done that. Like you probably should have thought about that. And like it's too late at that point. And I just ate shit. Like I slapped like both hands and slapped up against the wall. Like I hit the bench and then slammed up against the wall. I had like a double slam, like a whap whap, and then just like laid there
Damn.
and made some crazy noise, like eh. And then like after the noise stopped and I was laying there for a second, just so. And then they came. They were like bummed. They were actually like they were like, damn, we didn't get to see you. We didn't film you slam. I'm like, thank God. I'm like, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't. I slammed. That was like probably one of my worst slams. You know, I remember crying. Like that was the only thing that worked. Like I was like hurt, didn't know how to get rid of the pain. Like, what if I just teared up? Like, it went away. It's like, all right, looks like a little kid. Sometimes crying works, especially if you slam hard. I wonder if like some of these dudes I see slamming on like big ass rails and stuff. I wonder if there's a certain point in time when they go home, nobody's around, and they go,
Because some of these,
"Wait."
yeah, because some of these dudes slam so hard, man. Like I just posted a video of the Manuel Peters who just dropped a video called I can't remember, Double Ghetto or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. And they're out in Israel, and this dude like I think it was a 15 stair or something like that, hit this handrail and did a flip down the stairs, and then got up and redid the trick and landed it and rode away. And I'm like, dude, that's insane.
But sometimes, you know, the flip is actually what you would rather do than fall. Like I remember one time, there's a funny ass story. Baby Rock, can you come? This kid's having his baby or his birthday party at the skate park. I'm like, hell yeah. And they're like, he's like this kid, he's pretty cool. So I go, you know, skate park. And we're not even like 10 minutes in. I'm like 9 o'clock in the morning skating. And I come over this hip. And as I come over this hip, I see a kid. At the last minute, I see a silver helmet. And I kind of try to jump, but the silver helmet takes my knees right out from underneath me. And I'm like
Damn.
in the air, like for a second, I'm in the air upside down. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm fucked. And then I went, well, no, actually. In the air, I said, well, no, actually. And then I was like, I sort of came out of the backflip, landed on my feet, and then kind of fell on my butt. I was like, whoa, what a trip. If you could actually slam, you should flip. Because you have this
Well,
perspective as you're flipping. You know what I mean? Like
well,
you're like, oh, I'm flipping.
that's funny. We call it a Ron Allen flip.
Oh, dude, dude, that would be insane. Like sometimes in falling, like skateboarding is so much about making tricks. I understand, but when you know when you get bigger and try and gnarlier shit, it's really about how many times can you kind of attempt it without like breaking yourself to like not be able to, you know, you watch some of the, I would say some of the gnarly dudes do it, like from your Zions to your Nines, and it's I don't know what they would tell you, but it looks to me like when you're trying something that gnarly, it's can you if you don't make it, can you recover to get back up and try it again? And how many of those do you have? The larger it is, like you have five or two, 10, and that's not to me. I have one. As you get older, you don't get it. If you had 10, like I probably have 10 if I really want to drink a lot of coffee, know there's a lot of good herb at the house, let's go. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, some of those, I've seen some of the slams that people take, and you're just like, that's such a man ass slam. Like, wow, you're a straight warrior. You deserve like every accolade and everything you get just for that slam. And I know there's been like 20 like that. That's where I think people really need to give those guys their respect. It's like you see them make, and they'll even let you in on some of the like half makes, maybe one or two slams, but you know that all those guys that would put in work, they take some of the gnarliest slams and get up and do it again. And so, yeah,
Man,
much
my
respect.
hat off to those guys, dude.
So much, and it's funny how like skateboarding, we're like, man, we're critical. We'll be like, man, I don't even know how he could have done that like cleaner. What? you know, that kid. I just seen that video with Alex Midler back freeing, the Hollywood gap, and that thing
Yeah,
was
that was
so clean.
insane.
Yeah, that's like okay. So like already, if you think about skateboarding and you go trick of the year, or you would just say skater of the year. Well, okay, you gave skater of the year to a dude who kickflipped in that, which was the gnarliest thing I thought that I would ever see. And then when I saw back three and the way he made it look so clean, I was like, okay, so he's skater of the year, and it's everything from that point on after. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
if you just take the way things were, Milton flipping in, the dopest trick ever, amazing. Okay, right after that, this kid back threes it. You go, okay, kid, Alex Miller, skater of the year. Okay, so now you've got all this time to like until you vote for it. But he's the guy right now because that shit was the most cleanest, gnarliest big trick I've ever seen somebody make, and it looked just like nothing. He didn't like that it was more than anything, but he just looked like, oh, I'm gonna roll off this thing. I'm gonna turn 270. I'm gonna roll right in this bank. Hey, and then, okay, there's also props for like, okay, somebody like I think Milton Amazing did it like I think in the morning, kind of less traffic. That nigga did
Mhm.
it at like 1 o'clock. Like I think I'm gonna do it at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Oh my god, just so he did it in the middle of like afternoon traffic. It was just like, damn, dude, that's just even gnarlier. I mean, there's points for how gnarly at the time you did it. But yeah, that's dope. And that, like, to me, is like when someone, like, when the ante gets up, you go, instead of trying to compare, because you can easily could try to compare Milton's to that. You just go, oh, no, Milton won Skater of the Year, but he also added a lot. So now Alex does that. He's Skater of the Year, keeps doing more shit. By the end of the year, if he's like added, almost like a boxer, if he's added a couple more wins to that, there's no one that can beat him doing that trick. Now, you never know. People nowadays come up with some crazy things. But he backed it up with a couple other things that were like the railing around the corner to the other railing. Hello.
Mhm.
That one was another one that made you just go, okay, this feels from a different universe. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing. Like to me, that's why we should instead. I know we're really critical, but some of these things that are so gnarly, it's get away from criticality. Especially because I always say, if you can't do it, you can't talk shit.
Yeah.
And so if you can't jump on a 10 stair that goes down another 9 stair that goes around a corner, you probably have to be like hands down. That's dope, you know. But,
Yeah, that's insane,
but
dude. I mean, skateboarding tricks is nowadays. I mean, think about it. It's so insane. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know if it like I don't know. I was watching. What was I watching? I was watching Ronnie Krager killing it on slappies, dude. Like, wow. It's like
yeah,
it's, it's just crazy how skateboarding is going backwards, but people are taking the tricks that we learned and doing it way more crazier. But like for example, like I said, Ronnie Krager just killing it on slappies, dude. It's like I'm just
everything.
amazed. I'm just amazed how skateboard tricks is just progressing.
Well, and it's like as it goes bigger, it gets smaller. As it goes, the largeness of it, then you're looking like that. As it goes down bigger rails, it goes into cool flappies. It's like there's such a reality of both ends of it, and I think we're very blessed to have that in skateboarding. I also think there's a appreciation for that where there wasn't so much back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people talk of back in the day, but back in the day, kind of like I said, we're really critical. We were very, very critical,
Yeah, because
almost to a
because
fault.
you gotta remember, like back in the day, like we were skating small curbs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Little curb cuts. Little bumps off the curb where you do tricks off at. And everything. And it's just crazy how that. And what I have in my head is the old A Street videos. You know what I mean? That's what I picture in my head, right, when I'm talking about that stuff to you. And then now seeing how kids are skating that way from back in the 90s.
Yeah, it's like it kind of like what it does. Everything comes right back around, and like you see it, and you kind of trip on it, and then like you go, wow. But then it's just then someone out there is also just progressing it, and so like then like when the new kids come in, they're like 50-50 shove it out and 50-50 kick flips out, and that they like that stuff. I saw a kid at the park I skate 50-50 step hop out. And you're like sick. And then later, those are the tricks that those kids are like, it's rad. Like I was in Florida teaching with Paul Hurtado, and there's kid Dylan who like was one of his students, and he was like a baseball player, but he came to skate camp. He wanted to get some like lessons at skate camp. Well, then after that, he kind of put down the baseball, and now I saw on Instagram, he's like, oh, getting ready for a contest in Smyrna. And I was like, damn, like, okay, we have another convert. Like, here we go. We got another kid who now he liked the energy of skate. He liked the energy of baseball. He was on the touring baseball team. But then he went, well, I want to skate, man. And now he's like looking forward to the next contest, progressing. I look at his Instagram. He's tray flips and kick flips and Smith grinds, and you're like, hell yeah, dude. Like that's why if we can just keep that going with about another million kids, let's just say, dude,
Yeah.
skateboarding is gonna be fine. You know what I mean? Your show, everybody's gonna be able to keep existing off of this root cause of love that creates it with kids, and I kind of see that for what it's worth. Like we kind of forget that sometimes. Like but that's really how we like nurture the new kids, get them stoked. Not only do you create on accident, you create a customer for a skate shop, but then on top, you create this kid who's like really like his life changes because he sees himself. Like he came to Tampa, that kid that I taught. So when I taught him like Friday or whatever, we left to go to Tampa. He somehow it didn't work that could get in. I'm like, oh, put him on my list. They put him on my list. He got a chance to get in with his dad. Got bored, was able to get stuff signed. And I watched that kid literally like become a fan of skateboarding in less than like maybe 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
where now you just know he loves it. And it's just like we should always be looking like that in skateboarding towards if we want skateboarding to keep moving, we have to be like our industry's got to be like, hey, check this out. Because a lot of kids in sports, man, sports has got one major problem. It's called coaching. Sorry, coaches. But damn, man, like I'm serious. It's like I've done when I was in Florida. I went to a baseball game with like some friends of mine, and I was just like, I was kind of appalled at the way that people were acting with their kids in the baseball world. Like they're just the stuff out of like the stuff out of parents' mouth. I was sitting there in the stands. I saw that was like, whoa. And then like there was like a game where the team lost and the umpire walked out and walked by the team and like said, wah, wah, wah. And I just looked at that umpire like, that wasn't really setting a good example, bro. Like you know what I mean? Like I might have to meet you out in the parking lot, like where niggas get stomped a lot, like you know what I mean? Like it's like like no matter how gnarly shit is, no matter how crazy shit is, we always have to be responsible to the way we act around like kids. Like I don't know, it's a trip. It's a trip to me because I see it sometimes on such a funny way. Like that was funny, and like I was watching the baseball game and the poor kids are getting thrown at by this, the pitchers when you're like 8 years old and you have to throw a pitch over a fucking plate with another kid batting, I bet you the odds of you hitting the kid are higher than you actually
Yeah.
getting it over the plate. I just imagine it. And I watched this game where like I mean the first 8 batters all got hit. A kid got a hit though because he protected himself. That was the funniest one. That was rad. It was like he used the bat as a protective instrument as his baseball was thrown at him, and he got a double. So it was like, whoa. And it wasn't the kid's fault who was throwing. He just, you're 8 years old, you're pretty wild. So I'm like, why
Mm,
not just set up a pitcher, like one of those pitch machines. So then you don't have to worry. The ball is going to go straight over the plate, and you're going to let these kids hit the ball or foul it off or strike out, and then it's like you have a game. When you have this one, dude, it was so gnarly. If I had a kid, I'd be like, "I'm pulling you. You ain't playing. That's too gnarly." You got a hat on. You got a helmet on, and they're throwing at you, but they ain't hitting you in the head. They're hitting you in the leg and the chest, in the back. It's like, dude, modern day sports. People, I was like, wow, this is just baseball. I can't even imagine football for kids. So I was like, and then that makes skateboarding. Dude, a lot of every camp I taught kids had full pads, helmet, elbow pads, knee pads. So,
mm,
and now they just showed me these like butt pads. I was like looking at them like, whoa, I'm gonna have to get me some. They were sick. I think they kind of fit you really tight so you can wear stuff over it. And I was like,
mm.
wow. Might make an old black man jump down some more stairs having them things. You know what I mean? Like it kind of protects where your hips are, and it protects kind of where your back is. Like there's a pad on your back and on your hips. And I was like, damn, that is dope. And I saw these roller skate girls coming in, and they had some of them on. I was like, wow, yeah, roller skating, man, that's just popping right now. Woo, roller, woo. Gotta get me a roller skate girl. Roller
Dude,
skating, no,
hey,
no
I
roller.
know hey, it's crazy. Roller skates are going off, man. I mean, these
Dude,
girls are killing it on roller skates, dude.
yes, man, that's so rad. Because it's like that. It's like it should because everything is all dated and everything. Like people try to, oh, you can't do that stuff anymore. It's like, yes, you sure can, and you should.
Dude, women are
Yeah.
taking roller skating to another extreme, dude. I see them killing it at skate parks and vert and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yes, dude, and I gotta tell you, the skate women ain't doing so bad themselves either. They killing it right now, especially like
Yeah, they
around
are, dude.
with the Olympics coming around. It's like I remember talking to people like years ago, going, "What do you think?" The girls' game, and everyone's like, a lot of girls, until they kind of fly over coping, and then you're like, "Yeah, I get it." And then now you look at girls doing McTwist and like McTwist to McTwist, and like you're going, "Okay, that thing that they said 10 years ago is happening, and it has happened." And so these women at this point are some of the most badass women on vert. And it's like
Yeah.
that's where you kind of it's like the same thing with I remember just back in the day, old vert was kind of almost disrespected until you take your ass up on top of a vert ramp. And then you go, "Well, I'm gonna do this on this." And then you're like, "Oh yeah, you shut your mouth now," because like you realize that's not only is it gnarly, but you have to fall hella far if shit goes wrong. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And like right there, there's so a lot of street skaters. You see them, they go have them go stand up on a vert ramp. They changed their whole mentality about how they looked at back in the day. A lot of them hadn't. A lot of them had never stood on a vert ramp, so they were like, "Ah, whatever, it's just vert." You're like, I had skated around the vert ramps. It was like, dude, don't say that until you drop in. You know what I mean? Because I remember one night in Michigan, we were like 8th Street was like we were doing a demo for like up in Ferris. And it was right when 8th Street started, and Tony Mag was skating the metal ramp at Wind Waves and Wheels in Michigan so ass long ago, and he was talking to us as he's doing like a 7 foot high stalefish, like over your head, stalefish air. He liked the metal ramp. He used to go super fast, and he would do he was doing 7 foot high frontside airs and scale fishes, and he was talking to us. He's like, "I like when you do it like this," and he would pop out, blah, and he would do a steel fish over your head, and he's like, you could tweak it, and you'd be like, this nigga is talking in the air as he's doing like a 7 foot high air, 20 feet across the fucking ramp, man. You just be like, damn, so impressed, man. Like these guys are so calm in positions where I would be like, holy shit, holy shit. You saw me doing a 7 foot sailfish on a vert ramp that high, you just hear me going, ah!
I'm
you
trying to
know,
picture you doing this sailfish that high, dude.
oh my god! Or one time I was lucky enough to like I was with Tony, and we got to go to the DC ramp, and it was like Danny and Jake Brown, and the things that they were messing around doing on vert was like watching two street kids skate a curve. And it just at first you're like, did he really try that? Like, did he try front kickflip out? No, he on front. Like, and then you go, I guess you'd have a lot of time. In your head you're like, in your head you read it, you go, yeah, I guess did he do kickflip backside nose blunt? Like, yeah, I guess you'd have a lot of time. And then you kickflip, and then you can kind of put it in, and then if it didn't work, you can bail. Then you think to yourself, yeah, how many of those do you get? And then you bail, and you put it in, and then, oh, it doesn't work. You're like, oh my God. And those guys were like, Danny and Jake were just fucking around on vert. And I'm just watching, and Tony's like, wow. And okay, here's another part of that session. This was even gnarlier. Because even Tony Max said something. Yellow Wolf, okay? Yellow Wolf was skating vert. I'm serious. That motherfucker was skating like vert, like a street ramp, like Wally off. He ate shit a couple times, but it was so no. I was looking at Yellow Wolf like, damn, do people understand? Like, you're a skater. Like, yeah, I understand all the music and yeah, dope. But Yellow Wolf that night had some sort of. I'm gonna skate this vert ramp like a street ramp. I'm gonna Wally shit. I'm gonna like fly out manual. And Danny and Jake were kind of encouraging him, but they were even blown away by some of the stuff he was trying. And it was just like I remember just feeling like, wow, Yellow Wolf. And like you're like, that dude's known for his like MC status, whatever, dope ass MC. But
Mhm.
if people saw this, they'd be like, mad respect to that nigga on a skateboard. Like he ain't just have a skate. He doesn't have just a skateboard to kind of like, oh, I'm like trying to front like I have a board and it's all good. No, it's like this dude's a skateboarder. Like he's paying. He's down at the bottom of the flat, trying that Wally off the extension, and you're just going, does he realize that like if you actually make it, like damn, like that's gnarly. like, that was a crazy night, man.
I have a
Crazy
lot of
night.
respect for vert skaters, man. Like I watched a lot of vert skaters, and I just don't have the balls to drop in on a vert. I mean, that's just I have a lot of respect for vert skaters. That's all I can say, because I mean
Dude, Mike
that's just
Frazier.
guts. Yeah, because you dropping
Dude,
in on like an 8 foot, 10 foot vert, dude, that's insane, dude.
and like yeah, like guys like Mike Frazier that still skate, Mike Crum, the guys that I came up with are still killing it. There's not, it's funny, like they have like a lot of contests for like older people to skate, and I think that's the dopest thing because it really does show you that if you like what you do and you keep doing it, you can keep having a time enjoying yourself, and contests are just kind of a part of it. And
Mhm,
guys, but sometimes I would definitely like to see something like that. Like I'd love to see Mike Crum skate, the Protect Pool Party, or see Mike Fraser come out for the Protect Pool Party. And I know they probably have, and I'm dating myself because I haven't seen that. But those are the kind of things where you go, damn, when you see people from your era and they still skate, it pumps you up because for me, like especially, it's like I'm getting hyped when I see people from my era, which is dope. But it's a lot of them are still just vert skaters. It's not like street skaters because I just
mhm.
think street you beat yourself up on. It's a slow. It's like a 16 round boxing match. Then at the end you're done, but you're done. Where vert, you kill. Wow, I get knocked the fuck out. So you kind of you watch yourself. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
pad up and think about what you're trying. You go, I really, if I don't have McTwist, I don't want to land on my chest on the top of the ramp. See, it's like it's weird. Like so, you pick and choose your spots, vert. But then you think about it. But if you're wrong, it's a catastrophic injury, or you could get fucked up. But
yeah.
it's like street. You're just like nick, 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 and all of a sudden you're like, God damn, I'm beat the fuck up. I ain't even trying. And I think that's the funny one. Like it's really like that, and like sometimes like people kind of look at both, and like I'm like for guys would probably say the same thing. It's like a bunch of little accidents that turn into like, yeah, I can't really have the big one. But then I watch some of the tricks that are being done, and like this is one guy from I think he's from Japan, and he's doing like front half cab heel to lean the tail, and you're just like,
What?
wow, you had that progression. It's like whenever you see progression, it always makes you realize that it's never gonna stop, and that you're lucky that you were part of something that at the end of the day, really like you're just kind of about that. When you become a skateboarder, you become part of progression. You can become like something that doesn't progress. You can become progress fast, or you can just kind of
Yeah.
slowly have the progression. And like, I think sometimes we forget about that. Like we forget that like you're part of that progression. And so people come along and that Instagram has made us kind of realize, damn, every day still people are doing tricks that you go, what the? I never even seen anybody do that shit. Like Ronnie Krieger doing the slappies with the kick flips, and you're just like, what? I've
Yes.
never like. And when you see it, you go, okay, I see it, so I can't say I've never seen it. But yeah, I think this is the first time I've ever seen it.
Well, you got to see the new one they just posted up on yesterday, dude. It was him,
Oh,
Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk got it in the slappy part. Little slappy tricks in the little video they did, dude. It was insane, dude. Like I can't remember the trick that Ronnie Krieger did, but they went and skated the private Tony Hawk's private park, and he did like I want to say like half cab nose. So I might be get it wrong, but he did like half cab nose, 360, like no, some weird trick, dude. It was insane. That's all I can say.
so it's like that day one. I like he's to me like one of the I just I made that song for him and I'm always like he's one of my favorite skaters of all time. And there's just there's just the one thing he does like he does amazing things, but there's still one thing he does that I think is just kind of slides by people really quick. But he like sort of manuals down transition very comfortably. And like like the next time you're out skating, just try to manual down like a bank. And then you
Hmm.
go, this dude manuals down like transitions. He'll like go from a pivot on a quarter pipe, manual down it. And like, if I'm ever in that position, that means at the bottom I'm dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm ever manualing down transition, that means I tried something and I kind of didn't think I made it and I didn't push my nose down and I'm manualing down to wait to whiplash in the bottom and get washed out. And yet I watch these songs just basically like, oh, I'm gonna do like pivot to Frankie and stay in. Now I'm switch nose running down the transition, and I think that's that's like poetry in motion. That's just beautiful. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes that slips past people because, of course, after that he nollie manuals or he nollies into some quarter pipe or something else and does something else amazing. But just that to me just makes me go, damn, dude, like
Yeah.
damn, like I mean, there's so many other things, and like, there's so many kids now that like the Element kids I just saw. Those guys are amazing. The double tricks that to me, like if I think Suchu started a movement with his Suchu started it like with his double trick action, and now everyone has picked it up, dog. Like everything, like you can't just land and roll away no more. Like that's old school. You gotta land and look for another trick. Like if like you even you throw down a piece of 2x4, throw it in some trash, do the trick, land, jump over that trash. There you go. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing how that double trick thing comes down to like. Because I remember Suchu in his video part for Adidas, and that was amazing. And I swear, everything he did is like he'd land and you'd kind of want to look away, and then oh no, he did something else. Damn, like that showed his amazing ability. It's just to me, it's just amazing ability. Everyone's still like very, very good. Everyone's really amazing, and it's like I don't think that ever gonna stop. And I hope that with this COVID stuff, after that's all over, it's like everyone gets a chance to keep coming skate. I like Tampa contests. Not big on the other ones because they don't really include older dudes, but Tampa's such inclusive. Like he's always like come through, play some music. You can enter if you want. I'm stoked to be able to enter at my age. So. And I mean, I guess I'm probably going to enter again this year. This could be my last. I always think that this could be my last year, but I don't
Well,
know.
Tam Pro's not going on, is it? I
No,
thought
no.
it's
I
not going
guess it's
on.
going to be that's moved back. Like I guess maybe later in this year.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, everything gets moved back. But I'm still like, I kind of am glad that they moved it back, so at least that they could still have it.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah,
But
because I mean, Tam Pro is so much fun, dude. It's my opinion is the best skate contest ever. You know what I mean? Like in the
it doesn't get
century.
any better.
It's so much fun. If the viewers have not the viewers that listen to this that never experienced Tampa Pro, it's you have to not just Tampa Pro, but Tampa Am too. You know, you have to at least go
Yeah,
experience
Tampa
it. You
Am is an amazing. It's amazing.
know.
You see that many skaters with that, like that's like when you think of Field of Dreams, like Tampa Ams is straight up Field of Dreams. Like you could film a story about the kid that comes out of nowhere, goes there, wins, and that's the beginning of his. And that's that story is told by so many. You know what I mean? And like, I remember you see it, and as it's happening, you're just like, whoa, that's amazing. You know what I mean? That blows you away. But that's like not. And then there's also the backlash of not every kid is that way, and like I've seen some kids like almost bruised by the fact that they were supposed to and they didn't, so that kind of ruins them. And then like it's like that, like I just had to I jumped on Muska for a hot second because okay, Clyde, who I love, during Black History Month was posting stuff about different skaters, which I thought
Mhm,
was dope, and he even put something about me. Thank you, Clyde. But then he posted something about like, what's his name, Antoine Dixon, and
mhm,
it was like I don't know a bunch about Antoine, but I just know Antoine is Antoine had the best heel flips I've ever seen in my life, and the most smoothest style. And at the end of the day, I was like, man, like Musket said something on Instagram about, he'd gotten a lot of opportunities and kind of messed up his opportunities. And I chimed back in and said, hey, if you guys gave him like financial advising and you guys gave him a life coach and you worked with him on a bank account and you really, I could see you saying that. You could say that until the day the cows come home. But I don't think that's what happened. Simply because I don't think that happened. That's kind of where the racist part in America comes down to. And in skateboarding, I thought that would be I wouldn't have it, but it's like that, like Muska. I would say, and I'm gonna say this, Muska, who's probably one of the blackest, whitest skaters I know, who at the
mhm,
end of the day should really understand and equalize to us as black folk because he really it was like any kid who carries around a boom box and basically has that kind of way he is basically to a black person is looked at as being like either you look at it as being cool or you trying to fake something. So at the end of
mhm,
the day, his mentality towards someone like Antoine should be a loving mentality of, yo, man, let me help this brother. And not years later come out on Instagram talking about how this brother had so many chances. Because in the end, a lot of it has come to that there's not a lot of understanding of black people. So the things that are done to us later are looked at as, yeah, we didn't understand, so we did it that way. And so you can't now turn around and go, well, he had his chances. It's like maybe he didn't know. There's a lot of times where people are expected to know things and they don't. And like, unless you give them advisement, unless you have somebody there telling them the truth, then you can't turn around and talk about that because that's see for unfortunately for a lot of black people that's been our like that's what's been used against us for a long time, you
mhm,
know. And it's just really it was sad for me to see Muska using that sort of rhetoric because at the end of the day the same thing he's saying probably is the reason why he became Chad Muska. And so, in the end of the day, out of love for that boy, I mean, I understand. I got love for Antoine. I got love for Muska. I ain't gonna ever. But I'm like, sometimes that's kind of the unfortunate thing. Like, you don't want to speak from the people that actually. The industry is the one thing, and then there's us, the skateboarders. The industry is over there. Us as skateboarders is another thing. When a skateboarder joins the industry, he's a duality person. He's got a skateboard mentality, but he also has a industry mentality. So
mhm,
sometimes, when you start spitting from the industry, it scares me because you as a skateboarder, you sometimes are at opposition with that. Just because they are looking at like we've got to make money, we've got to make boards, we've got to make promotional stuff, we've got shit we've got to do. But you're a skateboarder. I love skateboarding, and I love my brethren and sister that do it. So
mhm,
man, I'm gonna be about like how I'm gonna help them. How I'm gonna help them. I watched this thing on Biggie Smalls. How many people he helped come up? I feel like that in skateboarding. That was my mission. How many people I'm gonna help come up? So if I'm gonna help you come up, then I'm gonna really help you come up. I'm gonna show you how to save money. I'm gonna show you how to make money. I'm not gonna go. No, dude. Like, no, you have to, and we have to be more like that, more transparent with our skaters, and let them know, like, instead of like make it like, oh, who's showing them? It's Red Bull. It's like, you know what
Well,
I mean?
Ripple
It's
ain't gonna
like,
show shit.
well, they'll show you how they can make money off you. They'll give you
Exactly.
some. They'll give
Or
you some,
Nike, hey,
though.
I'm gonna make money off of you real quick.
But we'll give you some. And at the end of the day, I mean, I cannot disrespect a corporate sponsor because at the end they do pay, and like
Mm,
now skateboarding doesn't award company it's probably has a tough time paying guys salaries or paying even a monthly salary to somebody because of COVID and the whole reality of skate shops, and that's got to be crazy hard. So you're looking at your sponsors that really like a real corporate sponsor right now probably that didn't have to go through as much to keep paying you. But I've noticed where I saw like people leaving, like Zion's leaving Nike. I was like, whoa. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I saw some sort of post like he's had some good times, and he was like, and I was like, wow, all right. To me, everybody, anytime someone's moving, if they're moving up, that is just the dopest thing. You definitely don't want to see people moving down, and like,
yeah.
and that's when you're like, ooh, But and to conclude on the whole thing with Musk, to be honest, because like I said, I got love for him, but I just think sometimes we have to be careful because we are the change in the future of skateboarding. Always, if you've been a professional skateboarder, you are the change because you can do something about it. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like you can make things different by like your companies, by the people you talk with, by how you talk with different pros. And in Musk's case, he is a trendsetter. He is a change maker. So him to turn and be like, even knowing what went down, for him to be like, I know what went down, but really we could have had somebody in there with him, a life coach. How come? He needs
Yeah.
somebody to like help him. Okay, I'll take the role, whatever you want to say. But at the end, when you don't do that, and then you turn around and you like blame the dude, you're like, be careful.
Do you think like, companies or corporations should do stuff like that to help out skaters or professionals or whatever?
It's a tough road to hoe because you've got you've got to be tied to these people in some way, in some form, in some fashion, and you've got to be careful that like everyone's on the up and up, and people got to if there's an expectation that comes from you from them, you've got to fulfill that expectation. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if you don't, then they don't. It's like I remember back in the day. If you wanted that box from the company, you had to either film a video part, send some photos. You had to do something. I was opening up this book the other day and I saw like my skateboard resume from like back in the day, and I was laughing. Wow! So you had to literally like sign up, like show what you did because they didn't have no video machines then. So it wasn't like you were sending a sponsor me tape. You were back in like the early '80s. You would send almost like you would send a resume to a company, and it sends your name and where you lived and why. And I was looking at it and I was busting up. I was like, oh my god, bro! I'm like, this is how long ago it was to have to send your sponsor me tape in. Well, no, you're sending your sponsor me letter in, and then you show all your wins and you show like what you've been involved in, and then they're
Yeah.
like, oh, and then you get sponsored by them, or they go, we're cool. And so once video came, you're like stoked. But at that point, I was already kind of sponsored and stuff, so I didn't have to send videos in. But then that's like now you're at the different phase where you're making video parts. So like it doesn't stop, Like, I made this video. It's really dope. It got me on. Yeah, okay, good. You're on. Yeah, okay, yeah. We got another video part. Oh, really? Yeah, I just filmed. The. Yeah, that video part. Yeah, we can't even use that footage. Come on, and that's when that's the real.
Yeah.
but and
And,
like I make a joke like I've been filming my whole life, but that's why. If you
and also
want
too,
product,
you got to think about it too, Ron. Is back in the day, yeah, because I mean, I did the same thing too. If I want to get sponsored, exact same thing. Send out a resume, video, whatever. Call the company up, waiting in the mailbox to get a letter saying we're going to hook you up, or we're not going to hook you up. You know what I mean? Like I remember those days, but I think also too when we were growing up, there was no social media. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I think social media, my opinion, has kind of in a way hurt the sponsorship a little bit because now you got kids who are just Instagram or social media skaters, pros or whatever, but then you never see them skate contests or anything like that,
Well, and I think that that's, but and once again, I remember to be, if you really wanted to get down, if you really wanted to get down, and then you had to go to contest. Like there was not
Hmm.
even a question of it. Like there wasn't even, and I mean, you can almost think about it, the rarity of seeing people. Like I remember seeing Dawn at a contest in like San Bernardino out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, but everybody had to go to castle contest, ASPO contest, you name it. You know, if you wanted to make it in skateboarding, part of that routine was you had to go to contest. Now, like for us in contest 8th Street days, we used to get really kind of rooked in contests because we weren't really popular. And I can remember days just sitting in the stands because I didn't make the cut, you know, and that was like, you know, that sucked because you had flown there and you didn't make the cut. So what I would do is just go skate with the locals. I'd go out in front of the place and go skate. Because if you're like, what are you gonna sit and watch? Damn, dude, that's like I don't even go to porno stuff because I hate sitting and watching. What the hell am I gonna do? Sit and watch people skate? Dude, that was the craziest shit ever. I remember just being like, I didn't make the cut. Okay, so now I have to sit through semifinals and finals, or oh, I didn't make the cut in semifinals. I got to sit through finals. Like you didn't make finals, and you want to sit there and watch the dudes who made it without you. I'm cool. Let's go skate with the locals. I met more kids outside of places because I didn't. And like then, H Street was pariah. They didn't like us skating. They thought we too technical and weird. So you know, you do like the perfect run and you get nothing. Like, you do the perfect run. You literally would be like, you'd be like, you'd look at, you throw your hands in the air like, oh my god. Run on like cuts 15th, run on that 16th. I was like, oh shit. I used to make a joke. Where's Tim Brouch at? Everyone's like, why do you ask? I go, because I'm right behind him. And they're like, well, how do you know that? I'm always wherever Tim Brown's is at. Tim Brown's got 15th, I'm 16th. Tim Brown's 30th, I'm 31st. Tim Brown's 12th, I'm 13th. I swear to God, where's Tim Brown? Like, I wouldn't even ask for myself, where's Tim Brown? People are like, why do you ask him? Because I'm right below him. Hey, who's right below Tim Brown? Ron Allen. No way. No, that dude's so dope. I mean, it's just so funny. Like I was always around that. Like I was always around where that dude's like number was. But yeah, you had to go to contest. You know, the idea that an Instagram shot, like a 1 minute little clip or little thing, can make you like can put you on. That's a that's another thing about the instance. But like it's like the thing about it. Like they make a joke. They go, like a long time ago, this man said to me, if you come to the top in a year, you're a one hit wonder in 1 year. Boom. And then 1 year, that means you have a 2 year career. You go up for one and then you come down for another. Because, but if it takes you like 50 years to get noticed and understood, then it takes 50 more years for you to go back to zero. That's a 100-year career. Because a lot
Hmm.
of people want to come up in 1 year and then in the end, in 2 years, they're done. Because so the longer it takes to not be recognized is the length of time it takes you to go back down. And I was like,
Hmm.
damn, that was some really good advice. I think some people need to understand that because they really want to make it fast. But making it fast sometimes makes it kind of tough,
Yep,
because you
and
got
it
to
makes
learn
it
as
go.
you go. You
Yeah,
know,
it's crazy, man. It's just crazy how like I don't know, when we're skating and stuff like that. I mean, it's just crazy how to think how skateboarding now is it's all based on social media numbers and what you do. And oh, I got to put this clip up quick so I can get like 10,000 likes, or oh, I turned pro because of my Instagram video part. It's like, dude, it's so crazy how to think that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen it how like, well, it's just recently I'm dealing with American Dream, and we're talking about people picking up boards and stuff, and it was amazing to me that like how like shops in Japan know about wood manufacturers in the States, and how they inform me. Some of the like the distributor would inform me that like, oh, that some of the shops and shops in Japan know of the different wood manufacturers in the States. And I'm like a manufacturer of boards in the States, and I probably know less than they do. And I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, that's where our it's that used to probably not be that way. And I think that's something that we have to like, it's like that where it's not it shouldn't be based off your Instagram stuff because that shit's so it should be based off of your competitive score, your video parts. You take a look at like someone that puts something out on Thrasher that's like amazing, and like like what's the there's There's just so many people. Silas Baxter, one of the guys. There's a kid down that rides for Crook. I think he's riding for Crooked, I think. But there's so many good guys that like literally that you've watched them be able to put out video parts that as soon as they drop them, it goes on Thrasher. You see how rad they are. Then you see them on Instagram, they throw out one or two tricks. They keep their thing popping too. Instagram is only like a dish out of
Mhm.
what they do, and I think that's dope. I think that that's one thing wonderful about social media is that if you like somebody, they keep giving it to you. They keep feeding you. You're like, oh man, I love that clip, dude. Yeah, and then here you go some more. You're like, oh, this thing keep feeding me. You know what I mean? But sometimes you feel bad because you're like, that person's got to put in a lot of work. Or if you understand the game, you're like, that person's putting in a lot of work. Just they're getting their Insta clips in, they're putting their video parts together, and look at some of these younger dudes right now. They're doing it. They are like doing it. And it's like respect. But that's what I'm saying. I just think sometimes people forget how hard it is to be one of those people. So when you're Instagram famous like that, you've kind of missed some steps. you know. So how long is it going to take for you to? Because I think that that's something that helps you too. Is like if Instagram through your parts, your video parts that come out, and then your Instagram stuff when you go to a contest like Tampa, people go, "Hey, that's that dude." And that helps for people to scream when you try your tricks, and then once in your competitive thing, once again, your video parts have helped you because they let you get a little fan base when you get there, and people like your shit, and they give you love. And like Tampa has proven to me, Tampa was one of the first places to prove to me that you have fans. I was like, I got no fans. What you talking about? It's just skateboarding. No one gives a fuck. And then I go to Tampa and I get like a standing ovation. I have to put my hat over my eyes because I'm almost about ready to cry. And you're like, dude, I got some people out there that got me some love, man. Like you're such that critical ass skateboarder that you're like, man, nobody know me. And then like we were like, they're giving me a standing. Oh man, damn. That's like amazing. You know what I mean? That's like when you're like, whoa, I said I had my cap, I had to tip my cap, put my cap over my eyes, almost cried like a baby. Like, damn, that's hella nice. It's like, damn. So like I said, but I do believe that skateboarding, there's some things that can change. But I don't know if they would be industry because I'm not really. I just have my little American Dream company. I'm part of that industry, and I've been helped out by a lot of people within the industry. So I don't want them to ever think I'm distant. And I do believe that sometimes things have to change. But one thing, the lot that has to change is just like sort of like skaters have to take the expectation that this industry, like it's like stop thinking it cares for you. Go out and care for yourself and go knock it out. And then they'll care. Even then, when they care, you have the control because you knocked it out and you know what you can do. So no industry is going to control you because you actually went and did it. You presented it to them. They went, oh, fuck yeah, we're going to ride for you. And then, I mean, you look at that kid, Miles Simon. He's a ripping skater, but he was ripping prior, and now he's ripping. It's like you see him, he put it down. He keeps putting it down, and he sort of dictates where he goes and does. A lot of kids want that, but they don't want to put it down. And like I don't think you could do it Insta famous unless you put it down on Insta every damn time. You
Yep.
know, and that'd be hard to do. A lot of kids find that tough. You know, but I'm just trying to make all the over 35s love skateboarding again and go skateboard and enjoy it and don't worry about how good or bad you are because really it's just about muscle movement and you'll live longer later. And you just get it with your kids and it's like skateboarding is still like for me it's still fun. Like I'm still competitive, so I love going to Tampa. That's my one chance to like I mean you're humbled as fuck at Tampa. Like you go and you go, okay, yeah. That delusion you had of like maybe about for 1 hour you thought, wow, I'd be so close to win. Yeah, okay. Get rid of that. All right, so that's out. All right, so now, yeah, you're just here. Do your thing, man. Don't get any delusions of grandeur. And then just make your run. If you make your run,
Yeah.
then you like that. Make your run, beat your age. That's all you gotta do. That's
Yep.
my Tampa. Make your run, beat your age. If I beat my
Yep.
age and I make a run, I can come back next year. So, and that's the thing. If I have a good run, I beat my age every time. The older I get, it's so easy to beat that motherfucking age. 58, dude. I go back every year like, okay, I got to beat 58 this year. All right, I can do that. 1 year though, woo.
Hold on, you gonna be
I go,
58? Really?
Yeah. Don't believe Wikipedia, man. They fucked up and said I was like younger. I was born in 62, 1930. I was born December 31st, 1962. And so,
Damn.
yeah,
I thought you were like
yeah.
48.
No, dude, I'm as old as the hills and twice as dusty. And it's crazy because like that's the thing is like I'm still like I think that's another part that trips me out a little bit is that like I still got this fervor to want to go skate and at the age that I am at, but I do believe that it comes from not understanding that you were first and so you didn't you're first or something you're sort of ignorant about what do I do? Like, oh, they're giving me all this money. What do I do with it? Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. But then in the
Yeah.
end, you're like, well, I don't want to get tied down to anything. The women don't like that. But then you're like looking at like next thing you know, you have a house, and you're like, I don't really want to get tied down to a house. Next thing you know, you're working at the grocery store trying to pay it off. So you're like, damn, dude. And then someone said, Ron, you've been on the road since you started this. I go, I have. They go, yeah, you rode for music, you've been on the road for music, but then you included skateboarding. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Like it's like I've been on the road a long time. So this whole COVID thing was a chance to kind of slow down, get an idea of what's going on, and then just like, okay, get ready to go out again. But man, such a different perspective
Yeah.
because it's just like now you have like this like, whoa, like you never know when you like used to be so like, yeah, I'll be back next year. No, I ain't saying that shit no more. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'll be back next year. No, you won't. You know. But yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I remember there are places like. Remember this lady gave me this thing at Waverly in Baltimore. It was like a little shaker, a little egg that was like a shaker, like almost like a tool, like a little thing, make music tool or whatever. And I remember I was looking at that thing on my desk, and I was like, wow, that was last time I played in Baltimore. And it's just like you kind of, and it doesn't, it first makes you nostalgic, but then you realize that you were kind of doing it. So, as much as you want to like, oh man, you're like, well, when it comes back, I guess I'll keep doing it. like, you know, like, however it takes. But I don't think there's a reason to stop. And I think that this is a good chance to really get perspective about that shit. Like,
No, no.
whoa, like how much do you love it? Like, how much do you really how much do you love your music? Or do you believe in your own music? You know, because I think that's a tough one, man. That one, woo, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't believe in your shit, this is a time when you be straight like, I remember my friend Stan said that to me. He's like, oh, so what are you doing with your music? And I'm, no, I'm just figuring out, you know, you're not doing anything with it. I said, well, I'm trying to get things together. He goes, oh, because you don't believe in it? I was like, well, no, Stan, come on. And he goes, well, no, if you believed in it, you'd do something with it. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, Stan, damn. you know, dude,
Hey,
I swear, it's like,
before we take off, I got one last question for you. Um,
okay,
this is something that's always been on my mind and always been trying to think of like about this. What makes a real skateboarder? What I mean by that is like you got a dude that's been skateboarding forever and nonstop, and then you got this one guy, there's one person who's skated when he was young and then felt like, oh, I can't do a kickflip anymore. And this is so hard. I'm going to go journey my life to somewhere else and do something else. And then all of a sudden he gets, 40 years old. And all of a sudden I'm going to start skateboarding because it's cool now and it's interesting. So what do you consider a skateboarder? You get what I'm saying?
man, at first I was thinking that's complex as fuck, and then it's easy. That's just somebody who wants to do it regardless of what, someone who wants to do it regardless of caring what anybody else thinks. Like skateboarding is so about you. Like there's a saying, effort is between you and you. Or there's a saying, skateboard owes you nothing. So the idea that like if you love it and you want to do it, that's the best part about it, bro. Honestly.
Hmm.
Because at
That's
the end of the
awesome.
day, like what makes a skateboarder, it used to be like, well, gnarly dudes. Yeah, true. But sometimes it's like, I just saw a story about a guy in France who hit a terrorist and kept the terrorist, like a terrorist stabbed somebody and he hit the terrorist and then the terrorist stabbed him, but he kept the terrorist from like going on and doing more. And so he's looked at as a hero. So you're going to tell me he ain't a skateboarder? You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
we claiming him. You know what I mean? Like the guy in Kenosha who, when the kid was shooting people in Kenosha and Rittenhouse was shooting people, and the skateboarder Huber came over and hit the dude, and all of a sudden, when he hit him, he was protecting himself. He was shooting at people. So he came with the skateboard, like, I'm gonna hit you with my skateboard. If you're not a skateboarder, to me, I don't know, man. Like to me, like in these days, what's a real skateboarder is someone who's willing to die to fucking skateboard. Like we all ain't really there yet. You know what I mean? Like it's gotten a little gnarlier nowadays. It was like who could put a park in? Yeah, all right, that's dope. Yeah, you don't die for that? What? No, I ain't really. I don't know. How much do you like skateboarding? And then that's kind of. I'm not saying that I'm going to go out and die for it, but at the end of the day, I'm saying, it seems like skateboarding has gotten pretty serious nowadays. So who can say who's a skateboarder? Because
Hmm.
someone who's like putting in time to help get the local park in, who maybe doesn't even skate, but does help out skateboarders. Because it's like it's the same. It's just like I just saw this about cancel culture and how people we tend to cancel people out who he was seen in blackface or something. But then they started to find out that people that did sort of ill stuff in the past towards black people then switched themselves because they felt kind of bad. And so then they went and started doing programs to help black people because they felt so bad about how they acted prior. So we got to be careful that we don't cancel people out for their way of acting, back in the day, because then you cancel them out, but then you don't see all the good things they did because they felt so bad they really actually tried to do good by black folk. So at the end of the day, don't cancel someone who's trying to help us. In the same
Hmm.
way, in the same way, like we have like things like a lot of guys back in the day had stuff and said stuff and were about stuff that maybe now they're not that proud of. But instead of us holding them to that, let's see where they are now. And if where they are now is a different way, then man, it's like, do they have to be held how they were 20 years ago when they were 20 years younger and maybe not the same? This is a tough one, but like I've seen it happen with Jason Jesse. You know what I mean? Like he really got held to where he was 20 years ago. And I mean, the dude took a photo with me and Alyssa Steamer, and man, there's so many people that were saying racist, and I was like, if this dude was super racist, would he shoot a photo with a black man and a lesbian woman? I don't know. I don't know.
That's true.
I mean, I think he got beat up by Peanut Brown a long time ago on the ramp. Said some stuff probably shouldn't have said. Got his ass beat. I think sometimes
Hmm.
pain makes change. Pain changes you. Because someone beats your ass over your racist view, you either learn to be really quiet about it, or change your attitude, and that way you don't get an ass whipping every day. You know, so pain and change. Pain is painful to change. No, but I mean, I don't mean that in like, I don't think we
Yeah.
have to beat up people to change them, but I do believe that in his case, Jason Jesse's case, maybe only, when Peanut Brown was beating that ass, I have a feeling he was thinking differently about racism.
Yeah, it changed his ways. You know what I mean? Like you said, he took a
Yeah,
picture with you and Lisa Steamer. You know?
yeah, yeah. And then everyone's like, he's racist. Well, let's check him. I'm a black man. I'm with him. There's arm around me. What you need? Like we're hugging each other. I got my arm around him. We got each other. Like but then again, but then as a black person, you have to be careful because now all of a sudden people then they attack you. You're giving him credence. I love. You're like, I can't win. You gotta hate everybody. Fuck the world. You know what I mean? It's just the funniest thing that you literally, if you're photoed or something with the wrong person, then people get bummed that you're photoed with that person, and they cancel your ass out. You're like,
Yep.
I was just in reasonable proxemus of a person. You know, like,
And
it's
it's
not
sad.
fun.
I mean, right? It's sad because I mean, you can't really, like, for example, the picture. If you post it up, people are like, "Oh, why are you hanging out with a racist guy?" But, because people have the
Yeah.
right to have their opinion, but also too, it's like, wow, I can't do anything with this. I'm gonna get hit up by so many idiots with their own opinions, and it's gonna be so wrong because the
Yeah.
picture means something to me, but other people are gonna see it a different way.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing: if you have even if a inkling of a little bit of religiousness in you, and if you just remember, like, oh, Jesus used to hang with the not so good people would be like, what are you doing? And he's like, those people need fellowship too. And so there's a weird reality that you could literally be like spitting your own game to these people, like, man, you need to change. But the photo was just the two of you, and like you're with this dude, and that dude's an ill dude or whatever, and you're like, wow, I'm actually spitting good stuff in his ear, but it's not up to him hearing me and feeling me if he ain't. You know what I mean? Like, that's a weird one too. And but I just think that we have to be careful because canceling out people and saying they're bad and ill and for what they did 20 years ago sometimes can be like in that 20 years, what did they do maybe to make things better? And
Yeah.
if they've done nothing, then cancel that ass out. They ain't done nothing. But maybe that and that but maybe some do. And like I've seen it in some cases where like, the dude did. One of the like this congressman that blackface wearing and he said was trying to jump on it. He's like, don't jump on my sign and don't jump on me. I've done some things to make change, but in the end, it's like change is what we need instead of just vilifying people. Golly, that guy's bad. Okay, but maybe he did some good. Let's. I'm always say, let's hope for the best, and if he did, cool. If he didn't, well then, hang him. I'm just joking. Just joking out there, folks. Don't get upset.
Oh, yeah.
Don't write it. Write it to call me. Don't write him to me. But no, I'm not trying. Actually, I'm not trying for a lifetime in comedy. But I do believe that, man, we've forgotten about how funny some stuff is, dude. We've like really like if we were really a little more of a humorous society, there's so much comedy in the world right now, and we're kind of serious, so we don't see it as that. But it's man, there's a lot of funny like this, you know what I mean, in the world. And it's just like
Yeah, there is.
whoa, and if like
Yes,
we
sir.
take it serious, I get it. We're supposed to serious pandemic, vaccination, all that shit. But it's like, yeah,
Well, it
serious.
was the funny thing happened to me yesterday. It was I think it was the most funniest thing. It was sunny. I was out in the park with my dog with Elwood, and we're just chilling. And I was throwing away the trash, and it was this older lady sitting in the thing on her phone. And I was like, and I crack a joke, and I was like, oh, at least it's not snowing. And she's like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I was walking back. I said, well, if it does get cold, we'll just have to blame Phil the groundhog because he saw his shadow. And she got up and she looked at me. She said, no, we'll blame Biden for it. And I was like, okay. All
Whoa!
right. I'm trying to crack a joke. You're doing political
Damn!
shit in there. Okay.
Damn, Slim. Damn, Slim.
I just kept my
Look, I
mouth
was
shut.
over here trying. Yeah, I was over here trying to keep it light, on a dog dip, like yeah, yeah, fill up, like damn. But you know what? That's once again politics have invaded our world, and I remember there's a saying that these people used to argue, fight like cats and dogs, and go off a lodge afterwards. And I think that that's where politicians it should be. Um, the idea of two different fences. I don't think there should be a fence between the parties. You know what I mean? If the idea that like they should fight for us, that's for sure. I think the fence though isn't really sometimes between the parties. The fence is between us and them, and they need to understand there shouldn't even be a fence there. They should actually just be working for us because that's what their jobs are, and they should be working for us on the idea to make things better. It's a simple
Mhm.
premise. It doesn't seem like it's like that complex. It's like, well, no, it's not rocket science. And at the end of the day, it just seems really crazy that like we've become so political that like that you're gonna blame the weather on Biden? Like really? Like like, like really? Like I always think it's funny because they always do that in the TV broadcast. Local news makes me laugh. Okay, local news is hilarious, and they always go to the person who's the meteorologist. So Joe, so Pam, what do you got for us? As if this motherfucker over here is gonna like, I'm serving up some sun for y'all niggas. This is gonna be great. You're like, no, you don't got nothing to do with it, meteorologist. Like, you ain't got shit to do with it, and they're all giving it up to you. Like, what do you think, Paul? Well, we're gonna. You're like, oh God. I was just like, damn, how did this person get this job? I want a job like that easy. Like, all you gotta do is spit what it is. I looked outside. What was it? Oh, there's some blue sky. All right. We're gonna have blue sky for the next 3 days. All right, Paul. Thanks. What do you think, Pam? Well, it's just oh my god. And like they try to turn it, local news tries to turn it into like this complex thing where you're like, look, dude, it's not that complex, bro. I got you.
Dude, they got
And they're
the
all
easiest
there.
job.
Serious, dude. It makes me laugh. And then here in California, because we're just so hard. California, so they're like, it's gonna rain really bad. That's no, no, not tornado. Oh no, no. Rain. Like rain? Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna come down. You're like, dude, people live where it rains every day. I don't think that's a really that bad of a thing. You know what I mean? Here in California, they make it into, oh my god, this weekend is just gonna be stormy weather. You're like, oh god, wow. But then it makes people not go out, and you literally see it. You're like, oh my god, people see the news, they don't go out. Oh, it's like, dude, nothing happens. It's black streets. That's
It's
all it
sunny.
is. Yeah, and like California, it's been really crazy sunny. It's been so nice, and it's like you're like, okay, for all y'all people that don't know like global warming and all this, I ain't really never seen it like this before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is new. This is some straight spring out. Like, let's go. You know, like summer's gonna come where you're like, oh God, it's gonna be like this through summer. And so that's when I'm like, wow, man. I just, it's easy to be against things, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of science that I think Americans are like, have come to the conclusion that you're kind of involved in science whether you believe it or not. And really, the histories and origins of yourself as a species are in science, so you should probably look. You know, like because we have such a origin, and our origin is in science, and like we've somehow
Mhm.
forgot that. Like we think we're some magical being on this planet. Like here we are. Hey, no, no, no. There's some science, and then if you think about it, it's like there's a lot of science when your parents come together and make your ass science. You know? And people deny it. They deny, oh, I ain't putting on no mask, man. Fuck science. You're like, okay, do you realize science got you here? Like science was
Yeah.
the ticket. Like, you know, there's a lot of science that could have not. Like, science was a ticket. Mom could have put a condom on. You know what I mean? Your ticket would have been over. Your ticket would have been punched. Wow. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if you deny science, you deny the fact that you're here through who? Okay, interesting. But people might call me crazy, but dude, I just want to see this thing get over so we can move the fuck on.
A
I mean,
hundred
I am
percent with you.
I'm over wearing a mask, but I wear it until they say we don't have to. But if that means it's gonna make us better, let's get better. Cause man,
Yeah.
I really playing music. I was such a softie. I realized I was going out playing music really not because I thought I was some great musician and I had all this. I was like, oh, I got to see my friends in DC, and then I got to see my friends in Baltimore. Then I got to see my friends in Long Island. Then I got to see my friends in Chicago. Then I got to, you know what I'm saying? I was just moving along the map, checking out. How you guys doing? Oh, it's good to hang out. Oh, sick. Oh, let's go skate. Fuck yeah. On the next place. Just so spoiled, thinking this I could do this forever, you know? And then it's like, whoa, then it's over. And you're like, whoa, I cherish those times, but I realized that like sometimes but it was good because sometimes you do forget that
Yeah.
it can be over, you know?
I,
Like you can walk off
I look,
stage and never walk back on.
yeah. I look at the pandemic. I mean, how I view it is, I think it's in a way, it's kind of a good thing because
Yep.
like you said, it kind of like stepped us back a little bit, put us on pause to realize what we need to do to change our lives or do what we had in our life to realize that we did have a good life. And it did a lot of good things, and there's a lot of bad things that came from it. But in a run, it was actually a good thing that it did happen. It was just like Mother
Yeah.
Nature just putting a pause on us. Boom. Hey, you know what? Boom. I'm going to pause you guys for a little bit to refigure your guys' self out.
Yeah. Reintroduce yourself to yourself. Learn about what makes you tick, or in the sense of what's like not. And then also too, it's like kind of like get an opportunity to maybe slow down and see what's really important. Like what's
Hmm.
like super more important. Because I think, in this chase to make money and get the biggest house or whatever people want to do, which I personally I don't I'm definitely not in that, but I've just seen myself like as I've just calmed down and like the feeling of having calmed down, having your bills paid, and not tripping is like a really good feeling. And it had nothing to do with rich. It has to do more with like, wow, your unemployment comes through, you take care of your bills, and you can go skate, not having to worry about anything. Yeah, 'cause your rent's paid, everything is taken care of. You're golden.
Yeah.
But then it made me recognize like how much stuff like it made me recognize like, whoa, I gotta when I get back to my job, I kind of need to ask for a little bit more money because I wasn't really making a living with the amount of money I was making from my job. Not dissing it, I just hadn't gotten up on my reviews and raises, and it's on you to stay on top of that if you're working for somebody and you need to go in and say, hey, do I need my review to get this raise or whatever. And if you're not doing it, you can't blame them. They're like, hey, we got a million things to do in our jobs, and you got to maybe inform us or something. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I need to let them know, like, I need to me a livable wage. Like I may be making 30, but maybe I need to make 40. So I need to get that popping. But then that's what I learned from being in this, pandemic through that. So, and you're not, I'm not mad. I'm like, damn, I'm glad. Thank you. And for everybody who talks about how much bad things there was, I've had boards myself. I've had boards come out with different people that it wasn't that much money, but I was appreciative of all that they gave me, and I was stoked to have those good things happen. And that's another part of this whole pandemic that was rad for me personally. That like I think sometimes people have to forget that like yeah, I understand we're in a pandemic, but by yourself singly, you can still have good things happen and be stoked on it. Like,
Hmm.
hey, like I had a board come out with the UK skateboard collectors of the UK. I had a board come out with Benin. Super stoked. 8th Street put out some more wood for me. It's like, dude, I'm like a 58-year-old man, still got boards coming out. I'm stoked, but it's not like I'm like, oh man, like I'm trying to be better than anybody else. It's more like I'm very, very blessed and very stoked and can't wait to, see what else is coming. And it's all
Hmm.
worked on prior. So, it's like you start, 6 months ago when I was talking about it, hoping now it's coming out, So it's like, wow, things do really come through.
Yeah,
A little
and it we're
hustling.
all worked out for it, man. And and you deserve it, Ron. I mean, you done
Well,
so much for skateboarding, you done so much for music, you done so much for people, and by building companies, starting companies, and introducing some of the well-known skaters of these days. And
just trying to,
I personally want to say thank you for what you have done for us.
uh, oh man, it's I think it's important that you this has made me slow down and be like, I appreciate that and you're welcome, but there's still more to do. Like there's still like the kid who made that video with Alex Midler is a black filmer, and I know of a photographer down who works for Scoops Magazine who's a black photographer, and as I haven't met that man yet who made the one with the kid in it, with Midler in it, but I met this guy Darnell, and we want to see more black kids and Latino kids, minority kids in media, and the
Hmm.
idea of like, I shot a photo with Darnell for that Scoops magazine, and that's the first photo I've shot with a black man in skateboarding. I've never shot with Atiba, and that was like the first person that I ever shot that was black. I haven't shot
Hmm.
with Shelby because he didn't really pick up the camera until like sort of after we had seen each other but it was sort of crazy that was. So I was like, wow, so we're really, our next move is to really check with Woodward, which has a digital media department, and, try to get some scholarships for kids and try to raise some money to, get some kids in there that are minorities in to like start doing media, start to like film, start to shoot photos, start to understand that part of it, editing, because that part of it, I think we can really, really help out a lot of our, like kids. Like kids will show you everything, and like these kids in Baltimore have a video out with this kid Joey Jet, and they show how gnarly Baltimore is and some of the areas that are gnarly and stuff, and it makes you go, whoa, like you realize, damn, dude, like yeah, like we need to get cameras in kids' hands, and so that they can document what's going on, and and especially like young minority kids who live in like in the hoods and gnarly ass places where that camera is going in. That's almost like having going in and seeing what's really going down on the block. You know, and it's like so to me that's important, and I think that's something that we kind of skateboarding is great, and I think we just have to make sure that our media is has an equality to it, just like the opportunity for skaters to ride for companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we need to
definitely.
have like black kids, Latino kids, everyone with cameras. The whole world with. But they got cameras on us. We might as well have cameras on them. I gotta stop, dude.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Ron, it's always good to have you on the show, man, and even on the live show and anything you done for us, man. We really much appreciate you coming on, and it's always great to have you on there, and what you're doing for skateboarding and music. It means a lot to all of us skateboarders and musicians and stuff. And I personally want to say thank you for everything you have done.
Well, dude, I gotta get that back to you because it's like you gave me an opportunity to play on your show. You give me opportunities like that, and your show is always giving me a platform to speak on. And so I appreciate you guys for everything you're doing, and I especially yourself. And it's true skateboard, man. But you are so true about it, Tommy. I give you props because a lot of you're able to. I'm able to speak very honestly with you, and don't feel like you know I'm ruffling feathers. And if I am, you. it's like you always got my back anyway. So we'll run together if worse comes.
Hey, we'll run together till this world ends, man.
Yeah, I see Tommy and Ron at the border. They running. Yeah, we got to go.
Oh no, I saw something before we take off. I saw something. I guess I read something. I guess the CDC or whatever they're called, the CDD, whatever. I guess they have
Mhm.
a zombie apocalypse book out right now, or how to survive as a zombie thing. You know that. I was like, what
Oh
in the
yeah.
world? Now they're saying zombies are coming in 2021. Is this a new thing now?
Oh gosh. Well, if you don't get your shot, you might get COVID too many times and wind up a zombie. Like, hey, I don't know. I mean, zombie apocalypse,
It,
man.
it might be like the guy down in Miami with the salt.
Oh Lord, dude, I tell you, it's like if you just everything can, if you look at it, like this is a friend of mine's like conspiracy, and I'm like everything's a conspiracy, man. He goes, yeah, that's because that's what makes Americans move. That makes us run. That makes us love it. I'm like, yeah, maybe, the conspiracy always gets you like ears up, like, what is that? Like, no, and that's I do like shouts out to like like speaking of that like I hope man big up to him. I hope he gets through it. It seems like as you look at his stuff through Instagram, looks like he's going through some tough stuff. I hope he gets through it. That was like a one of the things I was forgot to say too. That like it looks like he was like it looks like you know you see through Instagram a person's going through it. You definitely want to give them shouts and stuff and hope the best for him.
Yeah.
Like he's I guess he's really going through it. You know, like it's like, yeah, it's funny because we just our industry is so weird now. It's so a wide opening. So it's like from movies to different things, and so sometimes it's just interesting to see where we're at. But like I said, I appreciate what you do for what for a crazy guy like me because at the end of the day, you give people the opportunity to hear what I'm up and what I'm doing, and just really like it's kind of like funny how like it's shows like yours that are like help guys like me let the world know what we're into and doing. So I got mad love and appreciation for you,
Oh, thank you, thank you. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much.
man. Word. What makes true? So you got to be true. You know what I mean? It can't be like lying. It can't be bullshit. You know.
Hey, I just you know what I do? I just let people just be themselves, and that's what I tell them. It's like, you know what? You can speak, say whatever you want to do, just be yourself. That's all I care about, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in my case, sometimes I'll be like, Ron, they giving you enough rope. Don't be hanging your shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. I mean, 'cause nowadays there's just like you have to be so very careful about how or what you say.
Oh,
Because if you
yes, you
say
do,
the
especially
wrong
nowadays,
thing,
man. Especially nowadays, man.
ooh. And so when someone's like, "No, go ahead and say whatever you want," you go, "Okay, but think about it." you know, yeah. I like to talk, but it's like you don't want. I like to talk, but I also like to talk about issues that are pretty amazing and smart. But I definitely
Yeah.
don't want to talk shit. I think, and that was
Hey,
something with the book.
I
You
enjoy
know,
your conversations. That's all I'm gonna say. They're
well,
fun.
what that's I wrote in the book. I said I didn't write this book to talk shit because I don't believe that you should write a book and do that. I think you if you have so what I did in the book is if it came down to someone's name that I was sort of like saying something, I wouldn't use their name because if it's a negative, then I said I didn't talk shit because I'm hoping by the time this book is put out, you would have changed. So if I'm telling the people right now, this dude did me ill, blah 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 blah. Well, what if 3 months later he turns around and goes, I did you ill. Here's some money for me doing you wrong. Then I'm gonna look like the biggest hypocrite. So the idea is you don't use the person's name. You say, "Oh, the skater did this." Okay, cool. And then later, if that skater changed, then he reads about himself when he was, but he doesn't read his name or his or
Yeah.
her name because that's shit talking. And I don't think you write a book for that. You write a book to inform people the stories that are cool and make you laugh, make you chuckle. And like in my book, it's like some of them are printed, and then there's a couple that are handwritten. So it's like it's like me handwriting it. So you see like me actually writing the story. So it's more of a personal thing than it is like let me write, let me this did this. To me, I love that. That's dope because it doesn't. It's not really a shit talk book more, and it's not like a oh let me tell you some secrets behind the back more than it's like let me show you how like when you're thinking you're doing something right, it might be wrong. Like like let me tell you about when we thought this was so cool and it wasn't cool at all. or this one ought to be really fun, and we're glad we did it. We went there, kind of, oh no. So you can see how it's like the book is more about a positive view of what happened in 25 stories than a, it's easy to write one of them like things suck. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, buddy. And I
Anytime,
wish you the
anytime.
best luck in everything you do, man. And you're, like I said, you're an amazing person, and thank you so much, dude.
Dude, I'll be back when there's an album's done. I'll come back a crawling. Play some
Oh, I
music.
know. I'm gonna have you come back on the show with that album, man. And hey, oh, by the way, before we take off, when's that album supposed to be dropping?
Well, it seems like now it's looking probably by summer. Like it's looking like, with everything getting done and it's like we're kind of I'm just got literally into like finishing it. So it's like, yeah, looks like summer. So
All right,
yeah,
so
April, May,
you hear that,
yeah.
viewers, man? Be ready for Ron Allen's new album, dude. And if you haven't got his first one, where can they get it at, Ron?
Still Spotify. You can do Spotify or you can do Apple Music or you can do Amazon. One of the three.
There you go, guys. So make sure you pick up his first album because the second album is coming out right around the corner. And trust me, you have to get it. It's so good.
Enough respect, Tommy. Thanks so much.
No problem, brother. I'll talk to you soon, man. Take care.
Have a great day.
You too, man. Later.
Peace.